Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Dammie. Just in case you're seeing my face for the very first time, I look and sound very excited. Yes, because I'm talking about a topic that I love, but most importantly, I'm filming this on my anniversary. So I've been married for exactly 10 years, and yes, I know that everybody has opinion of what marriage is like, but I just wanted to share what I've learned, the lessons I've learned in the last 10 years. Please bear in mind, my marriage is not perfect. I'm just sharing the things I have learned. Please do what works for your marriage, because let's start with lesson one. If there's anything I've learned, is every marriage is unique, because you're marrying different people, right? So what works for marriage A may not work for marriage B. Yeah, let's get right into it. That's it. So yeah, every marriage is unique. I talk a lot with my hands and I'm trying to stop that, but anyway, every marriage is unique. What work for Taye may not work for Kehinde. Even the fact that they are from the same mother, if two twins marry another set of twins, their marriage may not just work the same way, regardless of the fact that they were raised in the same home. So every marriage is unique. Do what works for you. That's my number one principle, and that's one thing that has helped me. Another very common lesson I learned, and like everybody knows this, even when you're getting married, you go for counseling, it is one of the very first things they will talk to you about, and like they will keep hammering your ear, and I'm sure you've heard it before, and that's communication. Communication is very, very important, and with this one, look for what works for you. I remember very early on in my marriage, even when we're still dating, if my husband or fiance at the time offends me, I'll write a lengthy email, because that's just what I was used to. I was sent to him. But I've just realized over time, and this took me almost 7 years to realize, like, I'm just wasting my time. This man, initially I started with emails, later I started sending WhatsApp, long WhatsApp. Man, this man does not read it. It does not. Like, this man does not read it. So yeah, I have just stopped, and I would rather talk about it either maybe when I think he's trying to tell me something serious, and then I would just bring it in. But yeah, that's what works for me. But it took time for me to come to that. Like this year, it doesn't read it, it's too long, it just ignores, and then it repeats the same thing and behave as if he has never even heard me say before. And that's because he never reads all those, lengthy messages. So communication is key. Look for what works for you. Even silent treatment is something I do a lot, and it works. So, but my sister, my brother, look for what works for you, but communication is very key. Open, two-way, honest communication. You should be able to say your mind. Like, I don't understand where people are in marriages and they cannot say their mind. I can literally tell my husband any damn thing. People that know me, they know me. People that know me, they know that this is my mouth, I'm gonna say it. Even my mother, my mom is going to see this and call me. Even my mother was like, before I got married, she'll like belly or kosha. Anyway, so I'm going to say my mind. That's one thing you should know. If I don't talk, it's because I don't have opinion, or I don't think I'm in the place to tell you that thing. But I married you, bro. I'm going to tell you my mind. So yeah, there should be two-way honest communication. And my husband, I think, is the same. I can't speak for him, but I think it's the same. So that has really helped and strengthened our marriage. Number 3 thing is comparison. Comparison is the thief of joy. Like, it is the thief of joy. And in this age and day where there's social media and everybody is a marriage counselor, I'm not one, I'm just sharing my own experience. And I may never even film a video like this again. But everybody is a marriage counselor. All these young girls, yes, I can say young, all these girls in their 20s are now looking up to people my age, 30-something-year-old girls, as their role model, as their mentor. I'm not saying any of those things is bad. But by the time you start comparing, it's going to even steal the joy, the things you are enjoying in your relationship, in your marriage, that this other person you're comparing to is not enjoying. So comparison is a thief of joy. Marriage, Taye, at marriage, Kehinde, it might not be the same, but best believe there's a good in yours that you are not looking at. Just because you're comparing it to something else that you don't have, be grateful for what you have, because in the moment of murmuring, in the moment of comparison, you are losing some joy that you should even enjoy in your own home, and you are not focusing on the good things. So comparison, I've learned, as a thief of joy. Remember, this time and age where everything is social media, remember, social media is a curated space, and people only share what they want you to know about their lives. So I'm not going to share where my husband is pounding me. Oh no, that's a very bad example. just a disturbing example to say the least. I'm not going to share where I'm fighting or argue with my husband. We argue like every marriage. There is something that will make you argue. We argue. But one thing I used to tell my friend is, I feel like we've grown so much, like so much. I was saying it the other day that it's been a long time we argued and bickered. Like we used to bicker almost every other, but it has reduced significantly. That things that will make me mad last year or maybe 5 years ago, I don't even care because I'm used to it. You know what I mean? You cannot change it. And bear in mind, my husband is 11 freaking years older than I am. 11 years. So there are many things this man will just look and like, they share, like that's another grace I get to enjoy. But that's one thing that works for me, might not work for you. But yeah, please, comparison is a thief of joy. Don't live your life for the gram or for and start comparing and just lose the joy you have that you are not even appreciating because you're focused on something else. And then another thing I'll say is it gets better. Please, also in saying all of these things, I've not experienced domestic violence, so please ignore, like, let's take it away from all the equation. But for every other small issues, bickering, oh, you're not doing this, you can do this, you're not romantic, you're not this, you're not, like, I can go on and on for things that can go wrong in a marriage that went wrong in mine as well. I'm human. But it gets better. Like, it gets better. It gets better. And a perfect example is, I've been married for 10 years, right? I'm one person that will always, like, go for photo shoots, organize photo shoots, do all of those things. So I remember a few months ago, maybe about 2 or 3 months ago, and then we're talking like, oh my god, our anniversary is coming, we're going to be 10 years. I wanted to have a party. I was telling my husband that since I got married to you, never had a party. I've never had a party, like hosted people, and my husband is there. We've had kids' birthday here and there, very small, in the park. I don't think we've ever hosted a party in our house since we got married. We didn't have a naming ceremony, we didn't have a housewarming, we've never done any of those things. So I was just like, I'm just in the spirit of hosting. My husband, before I even bake Kale, the man just said no. He said, no, I'm not doing it. My husband is a very quiet, reserved man, and I love it for him. That's who he is, and I'm not going to change him. I will change him for over 40-year-old man. It's not gonna work. So that's who he is, and that was it. And he said no, and I didn't force it. I just let it slide. All for this man to come one day were just random, really random. And then we're on the bed and I just said, like, MD, what do you think? Let's host people, because people are saying, oh, you didn't do housewarming, you didn't do house. I'm like, let's just host everybody in one gathering on our anniversary. Call it anniversary, and then at least you've seen the house, you've done anniversary, we've done everything you can think of that we need to celebrate. And it was like, oh yeah, good idea, let's do it. I was shocked because I asked randomly. I wasn't really keen, but I just asked. I was so happy. I did the IV. I sent it to my sister or my best friend, and they were like, oh, that's good, let's start planning, But can you believe me, that love party, that I have a very, like, supposedly social life? I wasn't interested in the party anymore. I thought about it 2 weeks later, and I'm like, no, I don't want it, and I cancelled it. So it gets better. We've grown into each other. So I was just looking at it that, damn Lola, you refused the party. Sounds unbelievable. Even the Dammie of last year, I would actually want a party. But then I weighed all the responsibilities and things we have to do at the time. I'm like, no. Like, it's not just priority for me. I feel that there will be many more to do at a more convenient time. But at this point in time, it wasn't. And my husband was surprised, like, to think how much I was trying to convince him when I initially asked. Another one is picture taking. For instance, he was saying, if it was Lagos now, he started carrying us to Ogudu. Because my friend, M12 Photography, shout out to her. M12 was my G. Like, I always take picture every that is happening, birthday and everything, we shall go to M12 and take picture. It was like, if we're in this thing either, we see Ogudu or Mole, anyway, somewhere at around Ikeja after getting big, so that would have gone to our shop. I'm like, yeah, it's what it is. And then I wanted to take pictures. I contacted photographers here in Australia, and after hearing 600 pounds, I should go. I just gave up and I wasn't interested. And we already made our clothes. We made clothes, from Nigeria that we're going to wear for the anniversary. But it's 10 years, it's a huge milestone. My husband started asking me, Adam Lola, Soro picture. Like, we've grown into each other. He was the one that requested that we take pictures. Like, who would have ever thought? People who know my husband, they will not even believe this story. That's the thing. Someone like my mother now, she will watch this video, she will almost think it's a lie because they think he's very antisocial. But we've grown into it. But that's just the recent example I can use. There are many other things that we've grown into each other, and it gets better. There are many times we'll go and take pictures that we used to fight and leave the place, my husband and myself, and now he's the one asking, we're not going to take pictures. This man is not going to post, but maybe just thinks, oh, it makes me happy, I'm a very social person, like I post on social media. Maybe he just thinks it will make me happy, and he did it for me. So that's what I just want to say, like, it gets better. Don't let anything or anyone, domestic violence doesn't get better. Like, I can say this, I cannot stand it. It doesn't get worse. If a man even start lifting his hand like this, just, my sister, run. But every other thing, with time, it gets better. That's just one thing that works for me, and I've seen it happen several times, so I just know it gets better from here. So if you're not willing to sacrifice, don't get into marriage. Don't. Like, it's not for you, because it involves a lot of sacrifice, things that are not convenient for you, things that you are just doing it because it will make the other person happy, and that's what we call love. Like, I'm still going, there's no love on my list, and I used to tell people, see, the way people say, oh, I'm in love, I don't get butterflies in my stomach, but I look at the sacrifice you do to me, and that's what is love for me. You know what I mean? I just look at what you do. So if you don't sacrifice for me, not maybe sacrifice your life, you're not Jesus, you're not God, but I'm saying that you need to be able to sacrifice to each other, even to your kids. To your kids, you need to be able to sacrifice your career. A good example is, for instance, you're looking, oh, your mates that are single, without family, without kids, are growing, like, you know, rapidly at work, getting promotions. But at some point, as a woman or even a man, you have to sacrifice to train these children, because in the future now, God forbid, you leave them to live a reckless life, and you're pursuing work, pursuing career growth, and this child turn out to be, you don't properly monitor them, train them, and they turn out to be whatever. Who are you going to keep that record? So you need to sacrifice for your home. Like, it's not even for your marriage alone, for your home, your kids. You need to sacrifice, give them time. It will take a lot of things from you, but that was what you bargained for when you went into marriage. You need to be able to sacrifice for your husband as well, your partner, or, you know, wife, as the case may be, because that's just it. Like, for me, I feel like act of service, is that what it's called, is one of my love languages. So, and if you're going to be like giving act of service, you need to be able to sacrifice things that maybe ordinarily you wouldn't do, just to make the other person happy. So yeah, that's one thing I feel like has really, 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 really helped. Two parties are coming together to make a marriage, right? You need to just make things work. You can't always have me, like, no, this is how I do things, no, this is how I was trained. We need to come to a compromise at every point in time. We need to come to a compromise. There is two different parties who've come together to become one, and that one, the two parties must be willing to make it work. It's not left in one person. Imagine, for me, for instance, I'm married to a man that is 11 years older than me, and I'm like, oh yeah, he's older than me, I believe he should make sure this marriage works, and I just leave everything to him, and I'm just lackadaisical, living my baby girl best life. It will not work. So it needs the two parties involved to agree this marriage is going to work. The foundation has to be right. It is on God, and this marriage is going to work, and it takes the two of you putting in the effort. It is not one person just, you know, laying low and just seeing how it goes. Both parties have to be heavily involved, trying to make it work. And I think that's what has helped us as well. We would regularly do check-ins. What do you think? How can, like, it is never about you, it is about us, like us. But by the time you start looking at it like, oh, it's me, I don't have time, I don't have, like, the other person at some point, even if the person is the one pushing, oh yes, don't let's quarrel again, don't let's do this again, at some point the person who is going to make it work will also get tired, and before you know it, around symptoms, and that's how marriage splits. Because sometimes if you talk to divorcees, for instance, and some people, not domestic violence, again, not those ones, you talk to divorcees who got divorced with their partners, and you hear the silly things in this age and day that make people divorce, that split, that end people's marriages. You would be shocked. Like, you say what? You would just be shocked. The flimsiest of excuses. And these are things that they've built up over time. For instance, you hear, oh, this person pressed toothpaste, you didn't put it in, it's dirty, she's dirty, she can't cook for me, she can't. I'm not saying they are flimsy, because you get to a point where it becomes an abuse, because if you're dirty and you think that I will be cleaning up after you, it's not going to work. I'm not your mate, you know what I mean. But you need to now come to a point, what can I do to make this person better in this area? What can you do to make your partner, like both of you have to come to a terms to just make it work, like both parties involved. I want this marriage to work, what can we do better? It's not what can I do better. So you don't you don't stress like and drain the person putting in the efforts, because at some point the other party will be like, yeah, I'm really tired, I've done my best and I'm leaving, and then the marriage ends. It has to be both parties willing and working to make the marriage work. Trust, trust, trust. I'm sure you've heard it before. Trust, transparency. There's one thing that happened when I was in school. I met my husband exactly 15 years this month. We've been together, and the same level of trust I had for him then is still what I have for him today. Why did I say that? I remember I had friends in school then. I was in uni. I was in 300 level going to 400 level, right, when I met him. So when I met him during my summer holiday, you know, all this summer job, the internship they will tell you to do before you go back to school. So I went for that internship, and I had friend. I started dating him, and then I came back, and then I just told my friend that I met this guy where I went to do my internship. He's working, he's this year. I'm like, my friends are like, that man he will not marry you now. This man, he will be cheating, he will be doing, you know, all sort of things. Jesus Christ, I was so scared. And obviously I have nothing to lose, and even when we went for that thing, to be sincere in all transparency, we just said, make sure you bring somebody back when you are coming back. And this man asked me, I'm like, oh yeah, and he was taking care of me. He will buy me provisions, he'll come and see me in school, you know, all that life now. So my friend now told me at the time, from a good place, she meant no harm. She was like, this man will be cheating, he's way older than you, he's not going to wait for you, you have a lot of things ahead of you. And then she was like, let's just set a trap for him. And I tell people till this day, at every point in time, I know where my husband is. Like, I don't need to poke nose. I know his password. I don't need to check it, because I've never seen anything that will make me question my trust for him, or he either. Even if I tell him that somebody is asking me, I'm like, but no, like it is a joke. He knows it's a joke. We trust. That's how much we trust each other. Anyway, my friend told me, maybe just bust to his house one day and see what he's up to. His house is way far from my school, but I took exit. God forgive me, Mom, if you see this, I'm so sorry. My mom's going to see this for the first time. Anyway, I took exit from school that day, and I went to a man's house unannounced. What if anything had happened to me? I left my school. God, you don't even want to know the distance. I don't even want to talk about it. But Mommy, I'm sorry. I went and I met this man in his house. He was just looking at me. He was even happy to see me. Like, me, see what I'm disturbing myself, but just because of what my friends told me, I went that bad road. God, I don't even want to remember. But anyways, since that time, I've just like, I'm not bothering myself. This person advised me based on a personal experience, which is valid. I understand people do all sorts of things, but we have this trust in each other. I can't be chasing a man. And one thing I tell people, when people are like, marry for love, marry a handsome boy, I'm like, no, I married for peace of mind. If a man cannot, if you like, don't be handsome, but I want peace of mind. That was my one goal. That was my number one goal when I wanted to get married. I wanted a man that would give me peace of mind. I can't be chasing you around. I can't be checking phone. I can't do any of those things. I don't have strength. There's so much I want to achieve in life than I'll be checking a man's phone up or chasing you around. At my age, my mates are making money. Me, I'll be checking a man's phone or chasing you around. Count me out. I'm not part of those people. I don't used to do that type of thing. So I wanted a man that would give me peace of mind. And so at the very beginning, there was trust, there was transparency, and I have that peace of mind today, which I am most grateful for. So yeah, that's that on transparency and trust. There's a popular saying that says, do unto others what you want them to do unto you. That's another principle that works in this house. And my husband knows I'm very fast to see it. If he does something to me and I'm so angry, I'll be like, if I do this to you, will you take it? Once I say it like this, like, yeah, mabinu, and my husband, that's his logo is mabinu, like any small thing, no vex. He's very quick to apologize. Even sometimes, like, he will still do that thing again. But just do unto others what you want others to do to you. That's my own logo. I was still telling my best friend this week that there was one day I was very tired, but my husband had gone out for long. He had gone to work, and the house was very, I'm like, no, this won't be good for him to come back soon. The fact that I've just been at home lying down all day. There are times that he will look at it, it will slide, but I was telling her, let me stand up now and start fixing this house, because if I'm in his shoes, I've gone out for I've gone out for days, and I'm coming back to this type of house, I won't be happy. I was tired, but I got up to work immediately. Not because he will shout, not because he will be angry. He may not even be bothered, if there's food, my husband may not even care, but it's what I will want. So I think that's one thing that has worked for me personally. I'm not even speaking for the two of us now. I do to him what I want him to do to me. Just that sometimes my own romantic husband may not see some things, but yeah, it's not even about marriage now, about all my relationship, my friends. I do to people what I want them to do to me. People say, oh, Dammie, you're very nice. It's because I want people to be nice to me. I grew up in a household of nice people. My dad is a nice man. Because my mom used to say something that my mom is also nice. My mom used to say that the man is good, or the lonjebe. Don't be a fool for people. People will trap on you if they see that you are not wise. I'm going to be nice, but I know my boundaries, and when someone is taking advantage, I can read through you from a distance. So I'm very nice to people. I'm nice to my husband. I'm nice to my friends, and I expect that in return. You won't often get that from people, but in marriage, you can always talk about it. Like, you see these things I'm doing, please, I would appreciate if you can do the same back to, not exactly like do me, I do you, that kind of, but just put people in your shoes. Do unto others what you want them to do to you. That's just it. Like, I think that's very self-explanatory, and I feel it has really, really helped us. I've said this several times in this video, my husband is 11 years older than me. Everybody has to respect themselves. Like, of course, respect is not oh, good morning, sir. I cannot be calling him Uncle Nee. I won't do. That sounded very funny. Oh my god, damn it. Anyway, so I can't be calling him uncle because man, you're doing the do. I can't call you uncle, but there's still some sort of respect. He is older than me. God, based on the Bible that I believe, God has appointed him as the head of this household. So I will honor that crown that God has placed on him, that title that God has placed on him as the head of this household. I will honor it. I will respect him, and we just all need to. Not the fact that he is not going to disrespect me because I'm younger, because he's little. No, we respect each other. Everybody respect yourself. Even me, with my big mouth, I can still say respect your old respect your old age, respect yourself. Like, so respect is meant to be reciprocal. Make sure you respect yourselves, and I think that's just it. That's what has worked for us. And like I said, we are still walking through, we are still growing. I still see marriages of 30 years splitting up and all of those things. Last thing I'm going to be talking about is friends. Friendship. Be wary of friends, and it still talks to you about comparison. Friends that will advise you and say, oh, do this, do that. If I followed people's advice, especially friends, I will not be married today. I will not even get married to get to this point. So please, you need to build your relationship with God so that you have the spirit of discernment, and you learn to know when somebody is advising you the right way or the wrong way. And sometimes you also need to use your common sense. Sometimes somebody will even advise you and mean well, but that advice, you don't need it. So be wary of friends. I don't want to go to cankerworms of things I have heard, like things that have happened around me, because that's how people will start adding 2 + 1. I'm not in the mood for drama. But please be wary of friends. Like, even if you're on social media, you will see this person's best friend to this person's husband. It's every day you are seeing this thing. This lover will carry it. It's everywhere. Be wary of friends. At the same time, I love friendship. I loved it. Let me use loved. I loved friendship so much. I remember one of my very close friends at some point, she got married, and immediately she got married, she cut all of us off. Not because we're not married. I was married. I got married before her. I even got married before most of my friends. But she cut everybody off and kept certain people in her life. A reason, I don't know. I was against that kind of thing because marriage is not an easy journey. And when I got married, I had friends that I could always confide in that came back to backfire. That came back to backfire 9 years after. The things I heard that one of the person I called a friend 9 years ago, that she said last year, thank God my husband is matured. Because when people say things, I don't know, like, but yeah, that's not why I'm filming this video. But be careful of friends. When you're telling things to people, know who you're telling, so that when it comes out, you can know where it came from. And be careful. As a another thing I've learned is I still have friends, but I'd rather confide in my mother. She's more experienced. My mother has been married for 34 years this week as well. We share anniversary. We are 10th, they are 12. My mom has been married for 34 years. My mom is a marriage counselor. So I'd rather talk to my mom because she has the experience, and she would never, like, she can tell my siblings about it, but she would never put me out there. She would never go and talk about me in a place where she thinks that if I hear, I will become vulnerable. So my mom will always have my back. If you don't have mom, like, but just be careful of who you talk to. Like, we all see what's happening around us, and it's just not good outcome. And like I said, 9 years ago, I confided in somebody. I was really down. And I don't think there's any perfect marriage or any marriage that does not have their own issues. I confided in somebody, and 9 years after, I heard it from someone who had never met me. You'll be shocked. 9 years after, I heard it. And I confided when I was vulnerable. I just needed to talk to somebody. So be careful of people who you talk to. You just never know. That's everything, guys. That's what we've learned. That's what I have learned in 10 years. Like I said, we're still a work in progress. It gets better from here, and that's what we always say. Like, we always say to each other, it gets better. I'm so grateful for how our marriage has turned out. I even feel like relocation has really helped us, because we got to a point where, like, we just have each other. We cannot fight. Even sometimes my husband's first, like, see, I don't want to fight, I don't have strength. Like, even my husband too will say, like, it's a joke now. Imagine, like, we used to bicker a lot at some point, but now he's like, I'm not joking, like, and it ends. Something that before can make us keep malice for a long time. Like, we hardly fight these days. We understand each other. Relocation has helped us. We are each other's besties, and that's just it. That's how we've been living our life. I hope some of these things helps you. I hope so. But yeah, it's 10 years, baby. I can't believe that I've been married for 10 years. It almost feels unbelievable. So surreal. Oh, but yeah, I'm happy. I'm grateful to God. God has helped us thus far. And I pray that if you're looking for something of joyous like this, God will grant it unto you. I pray that if you're looking to God for blessings like this, be it marriage, be it fruit of the womb, I use my family as a point of contact to yours. The Lord will do it for you. It will surprise you. You will enjoy marriage. You can, and forget about all those people that say, oh, marriage is not me. So I used to say sometimes that, what's the big deal about marriage? Well, this married, but you can enjoy marriage. Marriage is fun. Marriage is like, the companionship alone is something, you know. You always have something, someone you can call your own, someone you can fall back on. Even when I'm financially broke, I have a backup plan. Is my insurance, you know, my financial insurance. I'm just joking, but yeah, marriage can be sweet. Don't let what's on social media tell you otherwise. But that's everything, guys. I hope this video helps you or give you some insight. But please, no to domestic violence. And remember, if you find anything of such, please report it to the appropriate authorities. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up like always. Share this video, and if you're not yet subscribed, the time to do that is now. Subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.